In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the front brakes on your Honda Accord. This will be located behind the front wheel. Let's get started. Using a 19mm socket, remove the 5 lug nuts. We're going to thread 1 lug nut back on, just a few threads to hold the wheel. If your wheel was stuck, you can tap on the back of the tire to break it free from the hub. Remove that lug nut and remove the wheel. Using a 10mm wrench, we're going to open up the bleeder screw. I have a rag just to cover it. I'm going to use a flat blade screwdriver and get in between the pad and the rotor and push the caliper back slightly. When you open the bleeder, be sure you have a collection bucket under you. Fluid will come out. Since we're not reusing any of our brake parts, we can pry however we want on them. I'm going to push the caliper all the way back and close our bleeder screw. Using a 14mm socket, we're going to remove the caliper bolts. Get them both loose before you remove them. Remove the bolts. Pull the caliper off. We're going to hang our caliper using a hook to the upper control arm. When we hang this, we don't want any tension on this brake hose. Using a 17mm socket, we're going to remove the 2 caliper bracket bolts. Get these both loose before removing them. I'm going to remove these pads since they're falling out. There should be a Phillips head screw located in one of these spots. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, go ahead and remove that screw. Ours is missing. Once you remove the screw, our rotor is stuck on here. If you're able to just remove it, go ahead. I'm going to thread on a lug nut, 1 or 2 threads, and then use a hammer and tap the rotor and break it free from the hub. Remove the lug nut. Remove the rotor. Using a wire brush, we're going to clean the hub. We're going to flip our rotor backwards and install it onto the hub. We're going to spray this down with some parts cleaner and wipe it with a clean rag, getting all the old oil off. Flip it over. When you install it, be sure you install it with the holes matching up with the screw. Spray the front side, clean it off. If you have a rotor screw, go ahead and install that now. Get it nice and tight. Since we don't have one, I'm going to use a lug nut. We're going to hold the rotor while we do the brakes. We're going to remove the caliper slides, remove the slide pins, clean them off with a clean rag. I'm going to put a slight skim coat of lube on there. Reinstall it into the caliper. I like to move it around, move that grease in. Do the same thing on the other pin. Using a wire brush, we're going to clean the valleys where our tins are going to sit. Do the same thing on the other side. There should have been these metal tins that were sitting on these calipers. You should have to remove those before you go and clean these valleys. Once you have them nice and clean, we're going to use a slight amount of grease and paint those areas to prevent the rust from coming back and to keep your brakes nice and quiet. I'm going to clean out the middles so no grease gets on our rotor when we install it. Install the tins, push them straight on, they'll lock into place. You can push down in the middle. And it's ready to go back on the car. Install the caliper bracket, get the bolt started. Snug the bolts down. Torque the caliper bracket bolts to 80 foot-pounds. Install the pads. Remove the hook. Install the caliper bolts. Snug the bolts down. Torque the caliper bolts to 36 foot-pounds. Remove the lug nut if you had one installed. Install the wheel. Install the 5 lug nuts. Snug the nuts down. Torque the lug nuts in a star pattern to 80 foot-pounds. and you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.